Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling great. It's good to be home. I've been home since last March and the beginning of the pandemic, and I've been training with my dad, playing a couple of training matches at the National Center in Aix-en-Provence, and I've been able to follow classes online, and everything's been going pretty well. So no, I'm enjoying my time on court, and I'm winning. So obviously that's a great feeling.
And obviously, you talk about winning. You've won those last three events. You've played Lucas in the final in all three. Does it make it easier or harder playing someone in the final when you know so much about them and they know so much about you?
I guess that's something that most players can actually recon in their own career because we've all had rivals on tour during our junior careers and then on the PSA. And the French players have been playing each other for years. And even though we're not from the same generation, now that we both play, now that I'm also on the PSA Tour, I got to play with those players more and more often, and so on one hand, I guess that's an advantage because every time I step on court with Lucas, I feel more confident in my abilities to to beat him. But at the same time, I know that he'll come back on court with more with some revenge, and he wants to beat me more than the last time, and so he'll study my game and try to find solutions to make me feel uncomfortable on court. So it's always a new challenge anytime we step on court together, which is exciting.
And obviously, you're playing on the tour while still studying at Harvard. How have you found the last 12 months? You said you moved back home. How have you found the last 12 months still studying at an American university whilst also playing on the tour where possible?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because usually I like to have my routine, and so during the first 2 years, during the first year at Harvard, it was kind of an adjustment because I had to find my routines again. I was playing with new sparring partners, new coaches. I was in a new environment, learning. I mean, not learning a new language, but getting better at English as well, and following classes in another language, which is mentally consuming. Um, and so I was feeling great during my second year at Harvard. I was able to balance my travels and my academics very well. I was going up on the ranking, and then I mean the COVID just uh, just hit the world, and I had to go back home. And so again, that was an adjustment. My family wasn't expecting me to go home, so I had to adjust. And obviously, I'm 21, so I like to be on my own, and I like this environment, social environment with my friends at Harvard, where I was able to balance my professional life with my social life, like my college life. Um, so yeah, it was definitely an adjustment, but I was very glad to go home and work again closely with my dad on the squash court because he's been my main coach since I started playing squash, and we have a really close connection on the squash court. So we didn't have many tournaments at the beginning of last year to try to see how my progress was going, but at least we could focus more on long-term personal growth and how we could make sure my game continue to evolve so that I can go up on the ranking and I mean, enjoy my time on court. I mean, the ultimate goal is to reach that #1 spot. But although there's only 40 places to go, it's the longest way. It's longer than going from begging on the tour to top 40, in my opinion. Um, but I mean, I'm really happy to see myself going up in the ranking. That's not the ultimate goal. I think um, that's just a direct effect of how my game is evolving, and so I think that focusing more on the game and on how much enjoyment I can get from training and from being on the squash court will help me go up on the ranking. But I don't think that I have to focus that much on the ranking and where I am in the ranking ladder. But also, it's funny because when I got to Harvard, my goal was, all right, I'm just going to try to stay into the top 100 because I just broke through the top 100 before going to Harvard. And so that was my first goal. And then I realized that I went up on the ranking during that first year, and then I changed my directions and my goals a little bit. But yeah, I'm not trying to put too much pressure on myself during these 4 years. I think the most important thing to do is to just improve my game in all aspects of the game, and then once I graduate, I'll be able to fully focus on my squash and, for example, recovery. It's not always easy to recover well from one session to another, or from one tournament to another. So that's something I'm looking forward to, be able to train hard and then recover for the next session.
The PSA World Tour returns this week with the Black Ball Open. Firstly, how much are you looking forward to be playing on the big stage once again? And secondly, you're up against Greg Gaultier, who, you know, is one of the best French players, if not the best French player ever. How much are you looking forward to going up against him?
Yeah, I mean, before the draw was out, I was looking forward to playing another French player. But then I drew Greg, and I was like, right, it's a French player, but at least I got to play against Greg, and I've never played against him during an official match on the PSA Tour. So obviously, I'm looking forward to playing that match and to see how much I can push him and maybe get the win. But yeah, I'm very, very, very excited to being on the glass court against Greg in one of the biggest tournaments on the calendar, especially during this period. I've always really enjoyed my time on the Challenger Tour, and obviously when we just out of the junior tournaments and we're starting to play those Challenger Tour, it can be challenging because we can be watching all the tournaments on SquashTV, the World Tour events, and it looks great, and we just have to travel around the world, and that can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes because we feel like we'll never get to that stage for some people. But I've really always enjoyed my time on the Challenger Tour because we get to travel to so many places and meet so many different people, and we're so close to the organizers, to the players as well. We get to meet a lot of other players, and we kind of help each other. And the World Tour is more, I would say, professional, where we go practice in the morning and then spend the rest of the day in the hotel room to get ready for our match. It's just a different atmosphere, and I really enjoy both equally. So Even though I'm now playing more and more often on the World Tour, I'm always really happy to play again, to go back and play in the challenge, in the smaller events.